Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Matty here from ptcgo. Now, Battle Styles is the newest Pokemon TCG expansion, which will be releasing on March 19th, just in a few weeks now. It's looking to be an incredible set. We have a bunch of new cards, which are going to be definitely very playable. They're definitely going to shake things up and kind of give our standard format a bit of a refresh. I am very excited. Today we're going to be taking a look at my 10 best cards from the set in no particular order. And I know that some of you guys might have a different list, but that's okay. These are just the cards that I'm the most excited for. I hope you guys enjoy the list, and let's get right into it. Alright, let's get right into it. Right off the bat, we're going to be taking a look at Urshifu Vmax, the Rapid Strike version. A lot of people are saying that this is probably going to be the most viable archetype to come out of Battle Styles, and I kind of agree. It's been a while since we had a really good fighting type Pokemon in our format, at least one that really surged to the top of our format in terms of playability. Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax is preferably my favorite out of the two styles of Urshifu Vmax, which we are seeing in Battle Styles. If we take a look at Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax, it has 330 HP. It's a fighting type Pokemon here. It's got a retreat cost of 2. It is weak to Psychic, unlike Colossal, which is weak to Grass. It has that first attack there, Gale Thrust. It does 30 damage for 1 fighting energy, but if this Pokemon moved from your bench to your active spot this turn, this attack does 120 more damage, so 150 for 1 energy, only if you just switch in, which is very easy to do this at this point in the format. Definitely very good. To be honest, 150, it's not enough technically to KO things like Heturn VMAX. You will be KOing things like Pikarom, Choo-Choo, and all those other good lightning-type attackers that are in the format. But, we have plenty of different damage modifications which we can run in this new archetype. We do have things like Martial Arts Dojo. We have Vitality Band. We also have Zigzagoon Pings if we want to run the Scoop Up engine. There's plenty of things that we can do here. Its strengths, it's got great damage thresholds for tag team Pokemon, especially looking at that second attack. So for 2 fighting and a colorless, we have Gmax Rapid Flow. So you get to discard all energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. The reason I said that it has great damage thresholds on tag team Pokemon is because we can hit for 150 with that first attack, and then next turn we can hit for Gmax Rapid Flow. Finish off that Pokemon by doing that, that 120. So 150, 120 is 270, which should be enough. Especially with some damage modifications to KO some tag team Pokemon. And we also get to hit 120 to something else. Now, discarding an energy isn't that big of a deal because we do have access to that Rapid Strike energy you see down below, which actually is a double energy. It's pretty much a twin energy for a Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax. Absolutely insane. Gonna make this deck much more playable. Another strength that has a great typing right now in the format. Being weak to Psychic isn't that huge of a deal. We have plenty of different things that we can run to eliminate our weakness. We do have Weakness Guard energy. We have Jirachi GX. We also have Mimikyu GX from, or not Mimikyu GX, just Mimikyu from Cosmic Eclipse, which we can, ping the Mewtwo's and other, Psychic type GX Pokemon to get rid of their abilities. So, that kind of can help with the Mewtwo matchup for sure. I do think that Dragapult will kind of, resurge in terms of its playability. But this typing is definitely very good. You're hitting for weakness on things like E-Turn and Pikarom, which are 2 of the best decks right now in the format. You have access to the double energy attachment, and then several damage modifications available and damage spread, all great things with this Pokemon. Its weaknesses, you can't really one-hit KO V Pokemon, which is a little bit tough. You might struggle with that ADP matchup. The math is just going to be a little bit awkward. And then you struggle to 2-hit KO VMAX Pokemon that you're not super effective against, and that's going to be kind of a downside to this card. Overall, I do think that it's definitely super playable. And another weakness is that there's definitely easy tech counters for a card like this. E-Turn can run Weakness Guard energy. And, there's just plenty of things that people can run which can really slow you down. But for the most part, I think with access to the new Escape Rope coming out in the set, which of course, has great switching options, and then of course you do have the Rapid Strike Octillery to search out your Rapid Strike cards, I think that this new deck archetype, and this card in specific, is definitely going to be very playable. Alright, and next up we're going to be taking a look at the single strike version of Urshifu Vmax. This one I'm not too keen on, but a lot of people do love this card, and I can see why it does seem extremely powerful. And we're going to, see once these cards are released, which card, does see more play and sees more success. This guy, similar to the Rapid Strike one, he's got 330 HP. He's weak to Psychic. His retreat cost is 3 instead of 2, which is, something to note. He's got the attack Beatdown for 3 colorless, 100 damage. And then for 3 fighting and 1 colorless, we have Gmax, 1 blow, 270. And you discard all energy from this Pokemon. And this attack's damage isn't affected by effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, which is an important, text there for that attack for sure. This thing is absolutely insane. It's got a lot of strength to it. Of course, we can one-hit KO any V Pokemon pretty much. And tag team Pokemon. So that damage threshold definitely is really good, especially prior to rotation happening. It's got great damage modifications available to it. We do have things like Houndoom to accelerate that special energy, which, this special energy does increase the damage done to, single strike Urshifu, I think, or to, your opponents. When you attach it to single strike Urshifu, I think by 20. So that can really add up. We do have the new Embor, which comes from the set. We still have Martial Arts Dojo. We have Vitality Band. We've got Zigzagoon Pings. Plenty of different ways to increase damage. It's not out of stretch that we can one-shot VMAX Pokemon with this attack here, which is definitely very impressive. It's got very good damage mods, like I said, and then it's got access to Karate Belt, which, gives it some comeback potential, as well as Martial Arts Dojo. So, if you're behind on prize cards, you can put Karate Belt on this guy, attack for 3 energy. You have Dojo, you're doing 310 damage, I believe, which is absolutely insane. Plus single strike energies, this thing definitely has insane comeback potential. Weakness, it's got a high energy cost, like attack cost, right? 4 fighting type energies here. It makes things a little bit difficult. We do have Houndoom to accelerate that energy, but it's not going to be as consistent as probably most people think. I think that for the most part, Rapid Strike Urshifu has the advantage here because it does have that double energy, that special energy, the Rapid Strike one, and it takes less energy in its attack cost, right? So overall, I think that this attack cost is pretty high. It might be a little awkward to get out. We also have a kind of a higher retreat cost of 3, which means that Air Balloon's not going to work. We're definitely going to be stuck in the active spot if we get bossed up, unless we're playing the switch cards and things like that, right? We're never really going to want a manual retreat from this thing. And then it's got a little bit of a slow pacing to it, right? Of course, this is a deck that you have to, or a card that you have to set up over the course of a few turns, which isn't never too great right now in the format. At least that's not what it seems. And then Hammers and that new Billowing Fan, or Fan of Waves, or whatever that new, item card is called. This deck is not going to like Crushing Hammers at all. And Crushing Hammers, of course, is very, very relevant right now in the format. With a deck like this that requires heavy setup, it's just going to be difficult to get those 4 energies on with all of these, energy removal cards that are being pretty popular in the format. Overall, I think that Single Strike Urshifu Vmax is going to be very, very good when it comes out. I think that it will teeter off a bit, as will probably both of these after rotation. But for the most part, I do think that, for right now, I like the Rapid Strike version better. That being said, this is still a very, very good card, and I highly suggest that you guys could test this thing out when it releases. All right, and let's take a look at the counterparts to both of our Urshifu Rapid Strike and Single Strike VMAX Pokemon. We have Octillery Rapid Strike, and we have the Houndoom Single Strike. Both of these are Stage 1 Pokemon. Houndoom has 130 HP. It's weak to Grass. It's a Dark type. Octillery, 110 HP. Weak to Electric, of course, being a Water type. We're going to take a look at Octillery's ability first, and the abilities are definitely the reason why we're playing these Pokemon. The Rapid Strike search ability on Octillery. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a Rapid Strike card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck, and you can't do this more than once per turn. So you can't have multiple Octilleries and do it once per turn. This is very good. I like Octillery personally better than Houndoom, and this is because we can search our deck for any Rapid Strike card. It can be the special energy, it can be your Rapid Strike Pokemon, it could be even your Rapid Strike supporters or stadiums, whatever you might be running in your deck. I think that Octillery is definitely going to be very, very good. Will people actually be running this card with Urshifu? Who knows? There might be better ways to do it. I think that maybe the Scoop Up Net Jirachi engine from Team Up might be the better option. Plus, you can probably use those Scoop Ups with Zigzagoons to increase your damage output. So I think that might be the better sort of way to play the deck overall. But Houndoom is also pretty interesting. So I have it hidden there on screen, so I'll just read it. I'll give the gist of it. So, once during your turn, you can search your deck for a Single Strike energy card and attach it to one of your Single Strike Pokemon. And if you do, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon, and you can only use this ability once per turn. Except with Houndoom, I believe you can do it with multiple Houndooms if you have multiple of them out. I think that, Single Strike Urshifu definitely needs some acceleration, energy acceleration, and Houndoom might be a pretty good engine for it. I think that putting damage counters on is a little bit difficult, right? If you do that twice, you're going to be pretty much in range of E-turn KOing you, which kind of eliminates the whole point of that matchup being in your favor, right, with hitting for weakness. But I think for the most part, Houndoom and Octillery are definitely very good. I do think that they'll see a decent amount of play. And of course, if they are going to see play, for the most part, it might be in these Urshifu VMAX decks. And of course, they're here mainly for those special energies, which is definitely a really good thing, being able to search out these really busted special energy cards. The strengths for these both included, great inclusions for the Urshifus, of course, only energy acceleration for these special energies. Like I said, its weaknesses are, there's stage 1 setups. It might be a little bit clunky to have to set up a stage 1 Pokemon to accelerate your energy. Things like Frostmoth, which right now doesn't see an incredible amount of play, again, because it's a little bit awkward, right? And then, of course, damage spread attacks, things that are able to sort of hit the bench, are definitely, going to be kind of a threat to cards like this, which not only take a while to set up, but for the most part don't have too much HP and they're sitting down on your bench. And of course, they do have bad attacks, which I guess is a weakness. You're not using them for their attacks, but I suppose their only use is their abilities, which I guess could be a weakness. I decided to put these on as, together on one slide here as one spot on our list because, overall they kind of achieve, similar purposes. They're both kind of counterparts to each other, both for the Rapid Strike and Single Strike versions and archetypes. So for that reason, they're together on the list. I do like these cards. I think they're going to see a lot of play, and I'm definitely excited for these to come out. All right, now quickly, I do want to go over the actual special energies which are in the set. That is the Single Strike Rapid Energy, the Single Strike Energy and the Rapid Strike Energy. I put these again together on the list because I do think that they are probably some of the best cards to come out in the set. Kind of a cop-out, I suppose, but they do deserve to be on here, and I did want to talk about them. So the strengths, of course, both cards help both of the Urshifu Vmaxes tremendously. Damage modification, and definitely more energy acceleration. The Rapid Strike Energy, again, in this card counts as 2 energies when attached to a Rapid Strike Pokemon, and it counts as both a water and a fighting energy at the same time. Absolutely incredible. The Single Strike one's similar. It counts as only 1 energy, but it's fighting and dark, and of course, the Single Strike Pokemon it's attached to does 20 more damage. So definitely very, very good energies between the both of them. That's their strengths for sure. The weaknesses, the hammers are still very relevant. We do have that Billowing Fan or Fan of Waves or whatever it's going to be translated to is being released in the format. So, those cards are definitely going to be pretty annoying when you're playing these decks for sure. When you're playing these energies. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's really the only weakness to these things. I don't really necessarily think that they're going to be that bad at all. I think that any deck that is a Single Strike deck or a Rapid Strike deck will be running these energies. And of course, we do have things like Octillery Rapid Strike, which you can actually use to search out your Rapid Strike energies, and Hound, which you can use to accelerate your Single Strike energy. So, for that reason, I think that these special energy cards are absolutely insane. I think they're going to see a ton of play, and I'm super excited to have this concept in the game. Now, the Urshifus are not the only VMAX Pokemon that are coming out in battle styles, and actually the other 2 VMAXs that we're going to be putting on this list are actually extremely, extremely playable. This one, Corviknight VMAX, is my personal favorite, and will be the deck that I'm going to be building as soon as this set comes out. Corviknight VMAX is insane. It has 320 HP, Metal-type VMAX Pokemon, and has a free retreat cost. It is weak to fire, but it resists grass by 30. This Pokemon has the ability Lustrous Body, so prevent all effects of your opponent's Pokemon's abilities done to this Pokemon. This is kind of pretty important, to be honest with you. Now, I don't think this will stop things like Mewtwo because it's the effect translating into the attack, so you're not immune to the attack damage. However, this is going to work against several very popular Pokemon right now in the format. Things like Fion, Zigzagoon, but most notably Giratina, which is seeing a lot of play in Welder decks to kind of discard that coding energy, which oftentimes is being run on things like Luke Metal and these Metal-type decks. You are immune to that. So this means that, things like Centiskorch are going to have to use Crushing Hammers if they want to get rid of your coding energy. But for the most part, once you attach this thing to Corviknight, that coding energy, it's going to be on there forever, and I think that's really going to help this Fire-type matchup for sure. It has the attack, actually, 2 Metal and a colorless Gmax Hurricane, 240 damage, and you cannot attack during your next turn, or you can't use Gmax Hurricane during your next turn. However, we have free retreat, so this means, of course, just like Zacian, we can retreat out, retreat back in, and, that effect resets, and we can attack turn after turn. And that is very powerful. Free Retreat makes this card just so much more viable, realistically. We can use sort of other tool cards attached to this thing, like Metal Goggles, or, Big Charm or Vitality Band, whatever it might be. We have that room where we don't need to put Air Balloon on this thing, which is definitely very, very impressive. And it has access to some incredible cards in this set. We have Bronzong, which reads that, we get to move our metal energies from any of our metal Pokemon to any of our other Pokemon, which is definitely insane. So this means that technically if we have 2 Corviknight VMAXs set up, we can just free retreat into the other one, move the energies to it, and just attack turn after turn, as well as conserving our damage. And then we have things like Cheryl, which actually, you discard all energy from your VMAX Pokemon and you heal all damage. Now, this isn't a big deal because, again, like I said with Bronzong, we can move our metal energies off our Corviknight VMAX, heal it up with Cheryl, and then move them back on and attack. Absolutely insane. That combo is going to be disgusting. I cannot wait for it. Its strengths, of course, free retreat. It's immune to abilities. You got Metal Saucer, you got Bronzong, you have Cheryl, all these great tool cards to put in any of these metal decks these days. And I think that this deck is going to be definitely very, very good. This card will definitely see a lot of play. Its weaknesses, hammers, fans slow it down. It's going to be a little bit difficult to get those cutting energies on if they are playing hammers. And then, of course, we are going to be running multiple Stage 1 Pokemon in this deck. We have things like Bronzong, Corviknight, which makes the deck a little bit slower paced overall, but we are going to be able to run things like, Zamazenta V or Zacian V to really kind of give this deck a little bit more fast pace in terms of its basic energy attack Pokemon. So overall, I think that Corviknight is extremely playable. This is going to be one of my favorite VMAX Pokemon of all time, and I'm really excited to play this card. And our last VMAX on the list, we have Victini VMAX. Now, this guy is seeing an incredible amount of success an incredible amount of play over in Japan right now, and I can definitely understand why. This guy is a fighter-type VMAX Pokemon, 310 HP, retreat cost of 2, weak to water energy, or water-type Pokemon, rather. And it has that one attack, Spreading Flames, just like Victini V. So for a colorless energy, you get to attach up to 3 fire energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you would like. It's a very good setup attack. I like it a lot. But its attack, its second one there, Max Victory for a fire and a colorless. You have 100 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a V Pokemon, this attack does 120 more damage. Now, this card is going to be extremely good after rotation, especially for the fact that you're able to do 120 consistently to almost all Pokemon that will be relevant in the format post-rotation. And, of course, you're a fire type, so you're hitting for weakness on all of those great metal-type Pokemon. And on top of that, you have a very, affordable attack cost between just one fire and a colorless. This means that we can tech in things like Capture Energy, weakness guard energy, although after rotation it won't be there. But for the most part, right, this is just one welder away from being able to attack and hit for 220, KOing his Zacian. So very powerful card. Of course, I don't know if it's going to be probably the best fire type deck before rotation happens. But for right now, I still think that it's definitely very good. We can pair things up with like Reshiram GX, Reshiram and Charizard GX. And this is going to help us, right, with all of those tag team deck matchups before rotation happens. So I think for the most part, you kind of split your deck these days, or when this card comes out, between Victini VMAX and Reshiram and Charizard. You're probably going to run Jirachi Engine, all that same good stuff, pretty much that you're running with Centiskorch, but we're going to run it with Victini. And overall, it's just going to be in my opinion, a better card than Centiskorch, at least for most of the matchups in the format. Its strengths, of course, you have a great Zacian matchup, a great post-rotation spot in the meta. We have a low attack cost and low retreat cost, because Air Balloon, of course, does work with this guy. And its weaknesses, it struggles with tag team archetypes. This card specifically, again, that's why we're going to run Reshiram in this deck. And of course, we can't KO GX Pokemon either. And we have relatively low HP, so we are in range of E-Turn one-shotting us, especially things like Poison E-Turn. But overall, I think Victini VMAX is extremely, extremely good. I think this is going to be played pretty much in almost any viable welder deck, as long as they're probably not playing Blacephalon. But after rotation, I don't see how you're going to be playing a fire type deck when it's when it's not going to be a Victini VMAX. So I'm super excited. I think that this card is also extremely good. I think all 4 VMAX Pokemon that we covered are going to be extremely good, and I cannot wait to cover this card on the channel. All right, next up is QRiketoon V. Now, similar to things like Crobat V and Eldegoss V, which have been releasing in previous sets, now we have QRiketoon V, which is a fantastic sort of support abilitied V Pokemon. I guess I don't really know what the term would be. QRiketoon V, it's a grass type, 180 HP. It's got a retreat cost of 1, weak to fire, of course, and the ability there is why we most likely will be playing this card. We have Exciting Stage. Once during your turn, you may search your you may draw cards until you have 3 cards in your hand. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand instead. You cannot use more than 1 Exciting Stage ability each turn. So this is kind of the new version of that Oranguru, which is definitely going to be extremely, extremely playable. Of course, a lot of people are running things like Silvally, which is definitely pretty impressive. And this is a great card because it kind of makes you reset stamp proof, right? At least until rotation happens. If you get stamped to 1, you can kind of have QRiketoon in the active spot, attach an air balloon to it. It's always going to be a great pivot because, again, we can draw until we have 4 and then just retreat into anything else. So this is a fantastic card. Of course, it does work very well with the Rose engine. With the Rose, you get to attach 2 energies to your VMAX Pokemon and discard to your hand, and then you can QRiketoon, draw 3 or draw 4, so it's definitely going to work in a lot of Rose decks. I like it a lot. It's going to be good with Escape Rope as well, I think, too. It's QRiketoon's V Strength, so of course reset stamp proof. It'll be able to replace things like Silvally and Oranguru after rotation, and it works very well in the Rose engine, like I just mentioned. Weaknesses, it is a liability on the bench, like a boss from ADPZ is definitely not going to appreciate this thing. 180 HP is a little bit awkward, at least until rotation happens, so again, being these sort of weak, frail, stage 2 Pokemon on our bench is a little bit of a liability. But, that's just sort of how this format goes. And you need to be in the active spot to get the full effect, which is, I guess, a little bit of, a weakness. Drawing until you have 3 in your hand on the bench is definitely good, but we're going to want to use that full effect, which is why I think probably running this with an air balloon and using it as a pivot is going to be the best option. But those are the weaknesses. Overall, I think this is an extremely playable card, and I think that it's going to see its way into a lot of different decks. Of course, it actually does have the ability Grass into colorless X Scissor, so 80 plus flip a coin, 80 more. It's not an attack that you're necessarily going to be using, but I suppose that it is there. But yeah, QRiketoon V, it's super, super cool. I'm excited to have another one of these support Pokemon in our format, and I think it's going to see a lot of play. All right, next, let's take a look at my favorite single prize archetype, Pokemon archetype, which is coming out of Battle Styles, and that is the Kingdra here, the Deep Sea King Kingdra. This thing is insane, honestly. It's got 150 HP, retreat cost of 1, weak to lightning. It is a stage 2 Pokemon here. However, it has the ability Deep Sea King, so when your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you can move any amount of water energy from that Pokemon to this Pokemon. So this means that as long as you have Kindred's dead on your board, you are never discarding your energies when you get knocked out. This is actually insane, especially when you pair it with this attack that it has for 1 water, Aqua Burst, 40 times 40 damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. This means that, technically, we can just fill our energies up on all of our Kindreds, which we do have things like Ordinary Rod to fish them out of the discard pile. So realistically, we can just shuffle through our Kindreds until they have to KO us 6 times. And by the end of those, we might have 10 or more water energies on our board, on our Kindreds, which is 400 damage. This thing is absolutely insane. In my opinion, this is probably going to be one of the best single prize archetypes to, sort of be out. Especially after rotation. I think that this card is absolutely busted. It is going to see a lot of play, I think, with Frostmoth, of course. We want to accelerate energies throughout the game just to sort of stack them up. Even though we're not discarding them, we still want to accelerate them pretty quickly. So I think Frostmoth is going to be good. We do have access to Empoleon as well, which will help us in a lot of matchups, the Rapid Strike Empoleon. And then that Articuno, which is seeing play in the Kyogre deck, the Amazing Rare Kyogre deck, I think is going to be also very good. We can kind of leave this Articuno in the active spot, set up our Kindreds, and actually attach energies to Articuno as well. And we can kind of do this because Articuno's ability means that they cannot... the ability reads that supporters that your opponent play have no effect on your benched water type Pokemon. So this is important. This means that they cannot boss up your Kindreds while you're sending them up on the bench while you have Articuno in the active spot. I think that Articuno is going to be extremely good in this deck. I think this will be a great archetype. The strength, it's got insane damage potential, late game advantage. It's going to be one of those late game sweepers, kind of like Blacephalon. It has a lower tree cost, which is obviously very, very good as well. The weaknesses, it's a stage 2 clunky deck building, right? So that's kind of a thing. When you're running a 4 of a stage 2 Pokemon, it can be a little bit awkward to get them all set up. However, I think with things like Articuno, it kind of will alleviate a bit of that stress. And when you're building around Stage 2 Pokemon, it's a little bit less awkward. Excuse me, right? Because that's what you're kind of focusing on. We can run things like Rosa. We can run, of course, we can run a bunch of rare candies and whatnot. So I think that this deck's definitely going to be pretty decent, even though the clunky Stage 2 stuff is still going to be there. But another weakness is that it relies on early game setup. So if you're not able to get this set up early game, and you're not able to get the Articunos out, not able to start setting up your Kindreds and your Frostmoths, you're gonna have a bad time. So this is a deck that really relies on doing well in the early game and carrying that into the late game. But I think if you do achieve that and you get a good start with this Kindred deck, I can beat pretty much everything in the format. So I'm super excited for Kindred. I think it's gonna be one of the funnest decks that we're gonna be getting from Battle Styles. All right, next up we have Escape Rope. Now, this was my personal choice for an item card to put on this list. I know a lot of people are excited for Level Ball, which is definitely going to be an extremely good card as well. I only had 10 spots on the list. I thought Escape Rope would probably see a little bit more play, which is why I put it up here. Escape Rope, it reads that each player switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. Your opponent switches first. Now, this is extremely, extremely important because not only is this a switching card, but it also has the same effect as Fion, right? Our opponent does get to choose their active Pokemon or choose which Pokemon they want to switch into. However, this isn't a big deal if our opponent only has one Pokemon down on their bench. This is going to be pretty important because, of course, they only have one option. If that's the option that we want to gust up into their active spot, that's going to be extremely good. It also acts as a switch card for decks that love running multiple switching options. I think that this card is going to see a ton of play in things like Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax, which relies on switching in and out to use that first attack. I think it's going to see a lot of play in ADP as well, just as sort of like an alternate option to Boss. Because a lot of times, you are in that situation where no matter what, they have to switch into, you're going to be able to KO. So I think that's important. Of course, Orbeetle Vmax. I got to give a shout out to Orbeetle. I think that Orbeetle will also really appreciate Escape Rope. But I think Escape Rope's going to see play in almost all decks. Like an incredible amount of decks are going to play Escape Rope, and I think that that's definitely a good thing. I believe this was a supporter at one time, Guzma. I didn't really play too much back in the day, but I think that this was a card. I might be wrong. I don't know. You guys can flame me in the comment section. But its strengths, of course, it's going to be a stable card in several decks. It can replace Boss, Switch, or Fion in some scenarios. So definitely extremely powerful to be an item card. Its weaknesses, it really doesn't have any. Realistically, this card is just going to be useful in almost any deck. I think that it's going to be a staple. And I'm extremely excited to have this card reprinted here in Battle Styles. I think it's definitely going to help out our format a lot and help out a lot of archetypes. So I'm very excited for Escape Rope to be back in the game. All right, and last but not least, I did want to put the supporters here on the list. We have a great Rapid Strike supporter and a Single Strike supporter in Karina's Focus and Bruno. Now, Bruno here, if I'm going to read this one first, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 4 cards. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you draw 7 cards instead. So realistically, you know, a lot of times you're going to just want to be playing this after you get knocked out, kind of like Rosa. And being able to shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 7 cards is an extremely powerful supporter here. So I think that Bruno is extremely good. I think it will see a lot of play in a lot of single strike decks. We don't really have things to search out single strike supporters at the moment, but I think that Bruno will still see a whole lot of play. Karina's Focus, also very good, so you just get to draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, just like Crobat, but it's a supporter. I still think that this card is going to be very, very good. I don't think it's as good as Bruno or things like Marnie or Research. However, it is searchable with Octillery, in the Rapid Strike Octillery, and that's why, in my opinion, I think Karina's will definitely see some play as well. Being able to search out a good supporter like that is definitely going to be very, very good. Its strengths, both of these cards' strengths, of course, good inclusions in decks that can search them when they need it, like with things like Octillery. Of course, Bruno probably just going to see a lot of play in general. Its weaknesses, overall, they're pretty underwhelming as supporters. I don't think they're as good as Marnie or Research overall, but I think that the fact that at some point both of these cards will be searchable by other cards that we will have in the format, you know, I think that for that reason, they're going to see a decent amount of play. And I did want to put supporters on the list because, you know, of course, we did have a lot of them. There are great other supporters like Phoebe or Cheryl. Those are also really great supporters. We have the Mustards as well. But I chose these just because I think that they're probably going to be maybe not, you know, the most relevant in terms of top tier decks, but they might be probably the most played. I think that Cheryl's probably going to see a lot of play in Phoebe. But, you know, for the most part, you know, I put these up there because I thought that, you know, it made a lot of sense. And they're together on the list because, of course, we only had 10 spots, so I apologize for that. But, yeah, guys, that's going to be the list. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Matty from ChillTCG. Let me know in the comment section below, are you guys excited for Battle Styles? I'm extremely excited. I think that it's going to be an awesome set, and it's going to help out our format and definitely refresh our game a lot. So I'm super, super excited. Also, let me know in the comment section below, you know, what cards would you have put down on this list that I didn't put on? Again, this list is my opinion, and this list is in no particular order either. So keep that in mind. Of course, you know, the order of this list is not a big deal. I just wanted to put 10 of my favorite cards up here. So yeah, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shout out to my channel members. You know, you guys are the reason why we are able to keep doing this every week. And definitely go check out our Chill Series tournaments, which we run every Wednesday. I've been Matty from ChillTCG. I will see you guys soon. Have a good day.